What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. So the age-old question has always been, who would win in a battle between the Adeptus Custodes and the Grey Knights? Now, the Grey Knights seem to be the pinnacle of the Space Marines, although they may have another means to get even stronger, and that is by crossing the Rubicon. However, for the Grey Knights, that seems to be something that may not even be accomplished, because rumor has it that they don't have gene seed from the Primarchs. Their gene seed stems directly from the Emperor. So if that's the case, the process to become Primaris may have to be adjusted in order for them to undergo this rigorous amount of body modification, because the Primaris Marine is bigger, faster, stronger, and more durable than a Space Marine. So if this awesome warrior of the Imperium is able to get even stronger, perhaps they may pose a threat to the Adeptus Custodes, which are in an entirely different league than that of the Adeptus Astartes. I'm going to be going over the Watchers of the Throne novel, The Emperor's Legion, where you see Valerian, who is a custodian, basically giving his thoughts on the Grey Knights and what he believes them to be akin to his own legion. So, without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. They came. The Grey Knights, whom we always had uneasy relations with, answered our summons. I do not know if it was my request that prompted the order, or if Valorous had been petitioned by others. In any case, we were not so proud that we could not ask for help when it was needed. There is a profound distinction to be made here. We could both, Custodian and Grey Knight, slay demons. We were both, to all intents and purposes, immune to their temptations. We were both effective against many of their stratagems. There are two great repositories of lore against the demonic in the Sol system, our own archives in the Tower of Hegemon, and the far greater librarium lodged on Titan itself. We are, as orders, steeped to our very cores in the fight against the great enemy. Perhaps you might say, chaos is the sole reason for both of our existence. And yet we are different. Remember I told you that we were never warriors, not exclusively. We are certainly not an army, and we were intended in the original scheme for service in an empire that never came to be. Our cousins in the Chamber Militant of the Ordo Malleus, by contrast, were formed exclusively for the singular war against our most powerful and enduring foe. They have no other purpose. Just like the Space Marines, from whose template they were drawn from, they are an army, complete and self-sufficient. We always knew of their existence. There are records held privately in the depths of our archives which chronicle their creation. We watched 10,000 years go by as he embarked on his last gambit. As the great enemy drew close to Terra, we observed the darkening of Saturn's moon and knew that one day it would return, its purpose fulfilled. Consider what this history means. We know that they came after us, the more junior creation, and yet they were as closely associated with him as we were. Both of us look up to him, and him alone as our progenitor, and share the same sense, cultivated over wearing aeons, that we enact his designs when all others falter. There are some amongst my brothers who do not see the Sons of Titan as much more than a specialized space marine, to be regarded with suspicion as part of that schematic breed that caused us so much anguish in the past. A space marine may always fail, they believe, given enough time and enough reason, and thus they are all part of the same potentially aberrant strain. Some think that. Others, and I myself, have often speculated in such a vein, cultivate a different misgiving. We know well enough that they were designed as his last great weapon, fitted to an age he foresaw near the end of his early embodiment. What if it were they, not us, who most embodied his final legacy? You will never hear one of us say as much out loud, but that does not mean the suspicion does not exist. It skulks around the corridors of Hegemon like a foul odor, faint but hard to eradicate. From the Speculum Certus, we know we were the finest and the most faithful. In the Speculum Obscurus, there is, as always, more doubts. So this is very interesting because we actually get a Custodes' point of view, his thoughts. And here we see that they may not be as different as we think. Now, that doesn't mean that people cannot speculate as to who would win a battle, where the Grey Knights are masters of the Imperium. They wield warp energy to fight against anything chaos, essentially fighting fire with fire. Whereas the Adeptus Custodes, they don't have that ability to wield warp energy. They instead fight with skill and the best weapons and armor the galaxy can produce. So on one side, you have the best of the material realm fighting against the best of the warp when it comes to the warriors of the Imperium. So I myself decided to pit two of these named characters against one another to see who would win in a mock battle. So here it is, guys, a battle between Drago and Trajan Valorous. Place your bets. Trajan Valorous has almost completed his third blood game. However, upon the steps to the Imperial Palace, warp energies begin to crackle as a tear in real space manifests. From this fissure in reality, a silver-armored figure steps out, covered in blood and viscera. The Custode acts instantly and charges at this warp-spawn being. Perhaps he knew it to be Caldor Drago. However, one cannot trust one who walks within the backyard of chaos. Drago unloaded his storm bolter, but the golden armor brushes it off like mere raindrops upon it. Valorous's Watcher axe crackles with golden energy as it slams across Drago's storm shield. The impact shatters it and sends the Grey Knight flying. Perhaps if Drago could have acted faster, he could have blocked the attack fully, but he had no time to think, only act. As Drago still tried to regain his posture, Trajan Valorous unleashed shot after shot of his screaming eagle. The adamantium-tipped bolts exploded upon Drago's protective psychic barrier, Sanctuary. From within the dome, Drago's eyes glowed white-hot as he unleashed warp lightning at this golden warrior. To his surprise, Trajan fought through the pain and was making his way towards him as lightning still flowed through the Custode. A golden light emanated from Trajan, for the Emperor's Aegis protected him. More shots from Screaming Eagle slammed into the psychic barrier of Drago. He then began to notice blood leaving his nose. Was this man pushing his psychic might to its limit? He knew he had to end it, and end it now. Drago channeled his warp powers into his Titan sword and ended the sanctuary around him. Clad in white light, he challenged the Golden Warrior to a duel. Trajan attacked first, each swing of his axe clashing with the Titan sword, unleashing sparks of raw energy. 2 parries was all it took to create an opening in Drago's defense, for the Custode was faster and stronger. With a lightning-fast swing, the axe tore through Drago's shoulder and deep into his midsection, almost cleaving the Astarte in two. Drago vomited blood. The Titan sword emptied of its psychic might. But he grabbed onto Trajan. With a bloody yell, a vortex door spawned out between them. The pitch-black abyss into the warp tore and consumed fragments of Trajan's armor, wanting to pull the Custode in. To Trajan's surprise, his left arm had been ripped off into the void. Drago smiled at his soon-to-be victory, but in a blink of an eye, the custodian disappeared. Drago thought the custodian had been consumed into the vortex, so the custodian appeared behind him. Valorous had activated his moment shackle, and it gave him the opportunity to behead Drago. Winner of this fight, the Adeptus Custodi, Trajan Valorous.